Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome. My name, of course, is Orbit Potato. Let us return to Democracy 3 as an independent Scotland, or as a semi-independent Scotland, whatever takes your fancy. Anyway, let us check where we left off. GDP, I think, it's not quite at an all-time low, but it's certainly getting there. Unfortunately, which is rather terrible, I'll be honest. We are running a huge budget deficit, and we really need to get on top of that. We've got 21 billion in reserves, and so I don't know how we're going to counter that. But, you know, it's important to note, actually, if we just go back to our graph a second, that almost all of our negative GDP can be attributed to the fact that we've got a shitty economy right now, and that shitty economy is purely because of the global economy. So let's just blame all of the problems on the global situation. Anyway, brain drain looks like it's coming down, which is very nice indeed. I presume we probably want to go for a tax of some sort. Either that or we need to like drastically reduce expenditure because, yeah, I don't know how we're going to manage to do this. It's going to be very challenging indeed. Freedom League, that's the Liberals. We need to watch out for the Liberals, but thankfully they don't look too annoyed. So fingers crossed they stay that way. I hope they do, that is for certain. Homelessness, I really didn't think that this would be a major issue, but it seems that unemployment has really risen up. And unfortunately, it's purely down to GDP. That is a massive bummer, actually. That's a very big bummer indeed. But it's okay. We can just pretend that things are in an okay situation. Alright, let's look at tax. What do we want to do? We need to try and introduce a tax that is at least going to make us a little bit of money. I mean, surely there must be the tax for us. I mean, microgeneration grants. Even if we cancelled one of these policies, I'm not even entirely sure that it would do us any good. I mean, petrol tax? Petrol tax gets us 36 million at a maximum. That is pathetic. Well, I suppose it's great that we're not using cars as much. So as a consequence, the environment's going to be very good. But I really do not know how we're going to get out of this hole, because at the moment, we're currently in a position where our GDP is very bad, and if we try to raise taxes on the rich, then our brain drain situation will increase even further, and that will just hinder our GDP for longer, which is literally not what we want. It's really not what we want. Also, that little downward spike to productivity, that in itself is going to hurt GDP in some way. So I don't really know. I don't really know how we're going to do it, because obviously, as we get more and more into debt, that is going to piss the capitalists off more and more as well, and it's also going to hurt our GDP because we're not going to have as much money to stick into whatever we want to stick money into. So perhaps the correct course of action is, in this instance, you know, seeing what we can actually tax. I mean, is there anything irrelevant that we can tax? Punitive wealth tax, you know, ideally that would be great. An automation tax? Yeah, I suppose. A punitive tax on superstores, religious institutions, that would gain us nothing. And tax auditors, basically nothing. High-tech products, that would hurt GDP, which is not something I really want to do. A graduate tax? A graduate tax is something that we can do. An internet tax is also something that we could do. You know what? Let's be ambitious, okay? Let us be very ambitious indeed. Let us... Oh, what is this? The National Organized Crime Agency. Huh. Interesting. We'll think about introducing that when we perhaps have a little bit more money. Let's be radical right now. Let's just say, no, capitalists, we are not going to cave to your outrageous demands of running a stable economy or whatever. We are going to forge forward. We are going to go into debt. But that's okay. We've been not in debt for a long time now, so fingers crossed going into debt doesn't really hurt us too much. Let's keep him here. Keep the Liberals on side. It's going to upset the Patriots a little bit, but Don't think the Patriots are really too annoyed at us at the moment. Okay, let's go to the next turn. Let's go to the next turn. Let's see what happens. Oh, okay. Now things are starting to get a little bit dodgy. When I say a little bit dodgy, I mean downright atrocious. So this flash crash came at the absolute worst time for us because we needed this recovery. And with that crash, that means that there is going to be no recovery. Let's look at our GDP. Yeah, rock bottom. Absolutely rock bottom. But what's ridiculous is that we have the conditions for a very, very high GDP economy. You know, we've got good taxes. You know, we invest a lot in our public services and whatnot. We've got the right stuff to make a good economy. We just don't have the global economy behind us. Corporate exodus, corporation tax gone through the roof, of course, as we introduced it, and unfortunately, that's had a negative effect on our GDP and on capitalists. So we're going to continue to see GDP fall because of the introduction of this corporation tax. Now, I was really, really hoping that that didn't happen, that this wouldn't happen, but it did, alas, and that is annoying. Organized crime. Obviously, with the reduction of all of the police stuff, the police investment, for example, the decrease in intelligence expenditure, that's led to an increase in organized crime. That's annoying. It looks like we're going to have to put more money into intelligence expenditure, but fingers crossed it doesn't go too badly wrong. Unemployment, however, did come down. Fantastic. You know, let's call this month a win and just move on. Okay. The most important things that I think we're going to have to do is reduce corporation tax by a lot. We still got to keep some of it around because 3 billion is a lot of money, but we need our GDP to recover, and we really need it to recover very, very quickly. So please recover. Please recover. And what's that? A 30% reduction to organized crime? That's probably all we need. So let's do that, okay? How is brain drain doing? Brain drain is continuing to go down. That's exactly what we like to see. It's actually reducing the number of capitalists that are actually members, which is actually kind of cool. So perhaps that could be beneficial in more situational circumstances, so to speak. But unfortunately, now is not that time. Homelessness is coming down, but I think, you know, we've got to forge this difficult road out, and I don't really know how we're gonna do it. I really don't. What about scaling down? See, this whole thing about scaling down climate change adaptation, it takes a long time to implement, and it only saves us 10 billion, although 10 billion is a lot of money. You know, let's not forget about that. Oh my god, look at our GDP. It's fucking atrocious. That's so bad. We're raising almost all of our money from income tax. Our second largest source of income is government borrowing. Jesus Christ. Well, you know what? We said that we were going to be radical. Next turn, we've got to introduce this flat income tax. We've just got to. And only this has the potential of netting us the significant amount of capital that we actually need to keep our country afloat. So, while it's bad that we're going to have to do it, it might lead to a little bit more brain drain. We've got to. We've simply got to. If it delays the deterioration of our GDP, then that's great. If it delays the regrowth of our GDP, then that's not good. But as far as I'm concerned, our economy, you know, just going to shit is just not really what we want. I mean, look at this. Look at the deficit that we've got now. We've got a larger deficit than we do actual debt. Holy shit. That is crazy. Absolute insanity right there. Oh, we're so close to getting this past the line. Fingers crossed we'll manage to do it. Homelessness has gone back up. Fantastic. But whatever. We've got to take this opportunity. Oh, a carbon tax. That will aid the corporate exodus, I'm afraid. Yeah. That will aid the corporate exodus. We've got to go for this flat income tax. Flat income tax. Where you be at? There we go. Flat income tax. Fingers crossed this works. People really don't like this. 58 billion. I will take that. 58 billion is a lot of money, and we could do a lot of good with 58 billion. It's going to lead to brain drain, though. It's going to lead to brain drain. Software patents. Let's allow software patents so capitalists will actually be happy. Still going to be running a deficit, but running a deficit of 8 billion is much, much better than running a deficit of 66 billion. Plus, with 8 billion, we might be able to grow our economy out of the deficit. Holy shit. Holy shit, high productivity. This is just what we needed. This is going to provide a 6% boost to GDP. This is great. This is really, really very, very good news indeed. Brain drain is going to go away very, very shortly. Fingers crossed. Wow, I did not expect that to be that successful. Let's increase you by just a touch, and that should mean that you go away. Great. Homelessness, better go back down. Fingers crossed. We're actually running a surplus now. I didn't think that I would see the day. Wow, I thought we were finished. I thought we were genuinely finished. Wow. Wow. Well, that is great. Our corporate exodus is reducing rapidly. We should see an extra 15% added onto our GDP as soon as we can sort that out. Brain drain also looks like it's going to be going away very, very shortly. What about if we reduce this by just a couple of billion? No, it doesn't really help brain drain that much. How do we go about reducing brain drain further then? It's almost all income tax. That's annoying. That's a 1% decrease. We don't really need a 1% decrease. We need something a little bit more substantial than a 1% decrease, I'm afraid. Can't just throw 40 billion down the drain like that, but hey-ho. I think we're actually going to, once again, be radical, keep this surplus rather than reinvesting it, because I feel that our economy is in a good place without this surplus. I mean, we just introduced that tax, and that's going to help out for sure. But my question is, does this flat income tax affect the brain drain? And it doesn't look like it is, but it's not happened yet, so we'll see what happens. Flag burning law, allow flag burning, I guess. Make sure that the liberals are on side. Patriots, once again, are going to be a little bit annoyed by that, but who really gives a shit? The liberals are the ones to watch out for. Click to return to government. Indeed, I will. Oh, beautiful. Just beautiful. Wow, look at our GDP go. We have recovered literally what's that? About 10 turns of recession in about 1, 2, 3 turns. That is very impressive. Very, very impressive. I just can't get enough of it. Unemployment continues to fall. Very, very nice to see. Crime is going down as well. Organized crime better be ending next turn. It will be ending next turn. That is for absolutely certain. Corporate exodus will be ending next turn for absolutely certain. Brain drain, however, looks like it's here to stick around. That's annoying. That is annoying. But on the plus side, a £38 billion surplus is actually phenomenal for us. And I'll tell you why it's phenomenal for us. Because if we want to get rid of brain drain, which we absolutely do, because, I mean, look at this GDP growth that is just waiting. A 15% boost to GDP and a 7% boost to productivity, which will in turn give a knock-on effect of an increase to GDP. If we can get rid of brain drain, then we will be in a much, much, much better situation. Now, the way to do that is clearly lowering income tax. And thanks to the fact that we've got such a large surplus, I think we can actually, in fact, just cancel income tax. And it's going to give us a little bit of a deficit. I will appreciate that, you know? We're not going to be in the most stable of financial situations for a couple of turns. But the advantage of getting rid of this brain drain is unbelievably important. We need to prioritize getting rid of it. Absolutely, we cannot delay. It is imperative that we get rid of it. This corporate exodus is also going to ensure that our GDP does grow, right? It will grow next turn. By how much? I'm not entirely sure, but whatever the case, we need to make sure that we do grow it. So let us go to the next turn and see if our master plan has worked out. Okay, we're running a minor budget deficit, so basically, all of that negativity, all of that massive 13 billion that 13 billion budget deficit that we did have last turn has been completely eliminated through the growth of our economy. And once again, another hugely strong turn of growth. That's very, very nice to see indeed. This corporate exodus has ended, and organized crime has ended as well. Human cloning, yeah, who gives a shit? Who cares, really? But it's brain drain that we really care about, and brain drain will be going away forever next turn. That is very, very, very nice to see. And with that, we can absolutely reintroduce the income tax. Now, I know this is a little bit sneaky. I know it's a little bit sneaky, but the income tax ensures that we actually have a shit ton of money to play around with, and it's the best way, in my opinion, of getting money, rather than this flat income tax, which just pisses everybody off. So ideally, we'd like to eliminate this eventually, but for now, we will settle for the reintroduction of the income tax. And fingers crossed, if we just leave it at a normal level, we won't have to worry about this brain drain thing ever kicking up again. Like, the only reason that it kicked up in the first place was because of this mansion tax, which we needed because of our dire economic situation. However, it actually ended up making our economic situation quite considerably worse. As you can see, this brain drain, when that kicked in, that's a 16% reduction of our GDP. That's bad. We really didn't need that at a time when we were already in recession. So, fingers crossed, the brain drain will end this turn. Indeed, it has. My, oh my, oh my. Wow. We currently have a surplus of £96.86 billion. Wow, we can see our income just shoots up there. That is absolutely phenomenal to see, and we are starting to build up some reserves. What I'm thinking of doing is over the next couple of turns, we will continue with both the flat income tax and the income tax introduced at the same time, and once we perhaps got like 200 billion or so, we can just cancel one of them, or we can call it a day on the series there, which I'm thinking of doing because, you know, we've managed to get ourselves out of one of the most sticky situations. I can't imagine that there's going to be anything more challenging for us to do, especially since housing is going to be ending next turn as well. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, my name of course has been Old Potato. Thank you very, very much for watching. Hopefully you've enjoyed a little bit of Democracy 3 as an independent Scotland. Until next time, bye!